The first optional boss, AXL the Tarantula, is coming to grounded too soon. I spent the last week farming resources and trinkets, upgrading my mutations and gear in preparation for the fight. After looking through all the available options, I've come up with what I think is the best build for taking on AXL. Before we begin, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future Grounded 2 content. So what do we know about the upcoming boss, AXL the Tarantula? Well, we know it's a spider. Beyond that, we really don't know anything about it in terms of what it's going to be weak against, what it's going to be resistant to, what kind of attacks it's going to do. They showed off a little bit of the fight. So what we're going to be doing here is I'm going to be looking at the creatures that are currently in the game and trying to determine which one I think it's most likely to be similar to. After looking at all of them, I think the wolf spider is going to be the one that's most similar to. The reason for that is it just looks like a bigger wolf spider. It looks like it's probably going to do somewhat similar attacks, and I just think it's probably going to have similar resistances and weaknesses. So my build here that I'm going to share is going to be based on assuming that this fight is that the AXL the Tarantula is going to be very similar to a wolf spider. And what that means is it's probably going to be resistant to smashing and stabbing, as well as fresh and venom, and then it's going to be weak to spicy. Now, the only difference between spiders in this game and the first game was in the first game, they're also weak to slashing. So spicy slashing will be the best option. And fortunately in this game, we do have one weapon that does spicy damage. That's actually melee. There are staffs that do spicy damage. You can use spicy arrows, but it's going to be resistant to the arrows. So I'm not going to go with that. I want to go with a melee build the first time out. And I'm going to use the spicy Coltana. And the spicy Coltana does spicy damage, and it also does a sizzling attack. So essentially, every attack's going to, I think, add like 10 to its sizzle meter. But the spicy damage bonus, if it is in fact weak to spicy, like the wolf spider, those spicy attacks are going to do 50% more damage than if they were not spicy. So I think that if it is weak to spicy, the spicy Coltana is going to be our best bet. Now, for armor choice here, the armors, I'm going to be honest with you, there wasn't nothing that actually just completely stood out. I went through a couple of iterations, and then what I ended up landing on for armor is going to be the Weaver armor set. And the reason for that is because while none of the armor sets are actually going to give you really like a full bonus in terms of like offense, I want to use the rogue one because I think it's going to be overall best. So rogue armor is going to give you, every rogue armor is going to give you the final hit in your 3-hit combo as increased crit chance. And what that means is for each piece of this you have on, if you have on the full set, you're gonna get 4 plus 4 crit chance on your 3rd hit of a combo. That means plus 12% crit chance. Unfortunately, the piece bonus here is gonna be useless, but honestly, looking through the armor sets, there's not really many of them that you're gonna get a full bonus from. But the good thing here is gonna be that the gear set bonus is gonna be critical momentum here. Successful attacks increase crit chance, stacking up to 5 times. You lose stacks if your hit or combat ends. What this is each hit that you get is going to increase your crit chance by 1% up to 5% until you get hit. So that's good. If you can manage to not get hit, you'll just have a constant like plus 5% crit chance. Also, as a semi bonus here, not sure if this is actually going to be useful or not because there are webs inside of the arena, as you probably saw in the trailer, or if you've been in there yourself. There are webs, so there's a possibility those webs we might have to get on top. We might be on them or something like that, or maybe it's going to shoot webs at us. So this might actually help us avoid getting stuck in webs and stuff like that. So that's just one that might be like a side bonus here. So for trinkets, I looked through the trinkets. There's 2 trinkets that I thought would probably be worthwhile. The one I landed on is going to be the Spectacular Spicy Shard. You're going to get that by just it's like a 1%. I think it's a 1, 2, 3, 4%. So it's a very low drop chance from breaking spicy candy. So if you don't have that, go around and farm all the spicy candies, and you should hopefully eventually get it. What this does is it adds a flat amount of spicy damage to all your melee attacks. In this case, it adds 15 spicy damage to your melee attacks. That means every combo you're doing more damage. Now, one thing I'm not sure of, so it's going to add at least 15 damage. I don't know if the enemy, if they're weak to spicy, if it actually does the extra spicy damage. So it's going to be a minimum of 15 per attack. But if the boss has a 50% weakness to spicy like the wolf spider does, it could actually be doing 22.5 extra damage on every single attack. So I think this is going to be the best one. The other alternative will be the Blistering Boiler, which is going to be the one you get from the Bombardier Beetles. That is the 3rd hit of a combo, does 25 spicy damage, and it also increases the enemy sizzle. But that means like every 3rd hit, you're going to do 25 damage. Instead of with the Spectacular Shard, every 3 hits, you're going to be doing at least 45 damage. So I think this is going to end up being the overall best one. Now for mutations, there's a couple here that I'm definitely going to recommend using. Since we're using the Spicy Coltana, I'm going to recommend using Swordmaster. And what I would recommend doing is, if you haven't already done so, you probably want to max out all your mutations. You can see here, I have every mutation at the maximal level they can currently be at. You can get all the weapon mutations maxed out. You can get the combat these maxed out up to these levels. So some of them you can only get level 1. Like there's not enough mixers for this, which is irrelevant here. There's not enough points of interest for this. That's irrelevant. And Trapper Peeper, you can only I think you can get like 48 gold cards or something. So you can't even get this maxed out. But you want to get all these as many of these maxed out as possible. So what Blade Master does is it's going to give you sword attacks lower damage inflicted by enemies for a short duration. If you have it at level 3, that means every time you attack an enemy, it's going to do 30% less damage than you. So you basically have 30% damage reduction from enemies. That's great. And when you get it maxed out, it's also going to give you the Sword Master here. And what that's going to do is it temporarily removes your stamina timer. So it basically reduces your exhaustion timer for your stamina by 90%. So very huge for that. The next one I'm going to 100% recommend using is going to be Mithridatism. This is unlocked by killing venomous creatures. So that can be wolf spiders. It can be the big scorpions and the medium-sized scorpions. I don't know about Orb Weaver Juniors, but I was going around farming the northern scorpions, the northern scorpion juniors, and the wolf spiders. There's a ton of them around the map, and you should be able to get this unlocked. So what this is going to do is it's going to give you a venom reduction. So it slows the rate of venom seeping through your body. And what that equates to is if you have it at level 3, it's going to give you 50% less getting venomed. And then mastering it also at level 3 is going to give you the venom resistance, reduces damage from venom. That's going to give you 25% less damage from venom. Now, I'm going with this because I know for myself that going into the fight the first time, there's no way I'm going to be able to block all the attacks. If you're a master of perfect blocking, then you might not need to use this one, but I'm going to say for most people, it's probably worth using this going in the first time. Now, the third one I'm going to recommend using, this one might seem a little strange for some of you, but it's going to be Reliable Friend. Now, again, this build for me is going in solo. If you're going in a group, it might be a little bit different. The reason I'm picking Reliable Friend here is I plan on going in the fight with a Buggy, Reliable Friend level 3, which you can actually unlock by playing solo by just reviving your Buggy. And if you've played the game long enough, your Buggy will probably die pretty frequently, especially if you have the right amp. Level 3 of this is going to reduce the revive time by 75%. It's literally almost an instant revive. Having the Buggy in there, I think, at least I'm going to try with the Buggy first. I'll probably try it solo later on. But I think the Buggy, the developers kind of hinted at using the Buggy as being an integral part of the fight. So I'm going to go in the Buggy, hoping that because I'm not wearing like a heavy armor, I'm not going to be drawing aggro, that maybe the Buggy can draw aggro from me and distract it while I just get attacks in. And then if I need to revive it, it'll be an instant revive. Now, for the fourth mutation, and we're assuming you can actually get 4 mutations here, so you should have gotten all your Milk Molar upgrades by this point. I think most people probably have. I came up with 3 here that I'm kind of thinking which ones to pick from. Cardio Fan could be one. This is going to give you, you're going to regen your stamina faster, and you're also going to, it's going to lower the time it takes for your stamina to come back. So that's one option. Parry Master is going to give you perfect blocks restore stamina. So if you're good at perfect blocking, you might want to use this one. And then the other one that I was thinking about possibly using would be Trapper Peeper. To get Trapper Peeper, you got to get 25 gold cards. I literally just got 25 gold cards on my first save. This one's quite a feet to unlock. And you can only unlock level 1 of it. This is going to give you 20% extra critical hit damage. So I haven't decided on exactly which one I'm going to use. Most likely, I think I'm going to lean towards Cardio Fan because I'm all about having as much stamina as possible. So those are mutations I'm thinking about using. Next up, we're going to look at the meal. So there's a couple of meals that I think are possibly worth using here, and I narrowed it down to 2. First is going to be the Scorpion Skewers. This is going to be really cheap to craft. You can go find apple bits. I just don't have any at this house. I have them at my other house, but there's apples around the map. And Northern Scorpion parts and Thistle Needles are readily available. This is going to reduce your damage from Venom, and it reduces it by 25%. So again, if you think you're going to get hit by attacks, might be worth using this. The other alternative that I came up with would be Mac and Bees, and the reason for that is it's going to give you increased critical hit chance. In this case, you're going to get 5% extra crit chance. And if your crit bonus is pretty high, then you can actually do a pretty decent amount of damage there. So those are the 2 I'm going to be choosing from. I'll probably go with Scorpion Skewers the first time because I just kind of want to have maximum... I want to have the lowest possibility of taking venom damage because I think that's going to be the part that makes the fight the hardest. And yes, I do think the boss is going to do venom damage. Some people were saying tarantulas don't do venom. I went and researched it. Tarantulas definitely seem to do venom. I don't know, maybe there's some species that don't, but I fully expect it to apply venom damage. Now moving on to Smoothies. So there's tons of Smoothies to choose from here. I'm just going to go through them in order of the one. I'm going to tell you which ones I plan on using. So Green Machine is going to give you hyper stamina. It's 20% stamina regen. And I'm going to be using the gum version of this because that's going to last for 4 minutes. Lady in Red is going to be the next one. Lady in Red is going to give you 20 max health. And again, I'm going to be using the sticky version for this. So it's going to be the sticky version for all except for the last one. Boost Juice. Boost Juice is going to give you plus 20 max stamina. So I'm all about having more max stamina. Liquid Rage is going to give you plus 10% attack damage. Human food might be the most important one. This is might be the hardest one to farm because as you can see, I have tons of cookies and hot dogs, and I don't have a ton of apples, so I'm definitely going to be going and farming apples in the next couple days. Well, leading up to this boss fight. I think I have some in my other house, but definitely need to farm those. This one's big because the damage resist here is actually a 10% damage resist, so that's pretty decent there. And then the last one's going to be Scorpido. This gives you Venom Cure. That means if you drink this while you have and you've been envenomed, it instantly clears the venom from you. It also will then it'll also slow the rate of venom build up over time. So if you get hit by venom, you drink this, and then you can also have it going. Now this one, I guess you could say, you could either do Sticky, or if you want to go on the cheap side, you could do the Grub Sludge, which gives you no bonus, but instantly just gets rid of the venom here. And then the last one I'm going to use, the one I'm going to be using for healing, is going to be Hedgelord. And the reason for that is Hedgelord, unlike the first game, I'm pretty sure Hedgelord just like reduced damage from falling. In this case, it regenerates health over time. And I'm going to, for this one, I'm going to use the chocolate base here. So we're going to be using the chocolate chunks. You can get those from the ice cream cart. So go farm a bunch of those. What that's going to do is it's going to give you an extra, it's going to give you extra healing. So in this case, it's 80 healing plus the trickle regen. And what that is going to do is it's going to give you 5 health every 10 seconds. If you use the chunky one, it's going to do it for 2 minutes. And this is going to be my main way of healing. Now, there's also options of using bandages, but in the case of this, I don't think bandages are going to be worth using for the one reason is that if you're using a bandage while you have venom on, it's instantly going to cancel. If you're using a bandage, you get attacked and you take damage, it instantly cancels. So if you're going to use bandages, you can kind of use whichever ones you want. The difference in healing here, it is pretty substantial. The lingonberry, I think, does double the fiber, but it's also a lot more expensive to craft. You could use heal bosses, but the risk of using heal bosses is going to be if you throw it down and it actually hits the boss, it's actually going to heal the boss. So for me, my primary way of healing is going to be using smoothies. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is going to be which buggy to use. So we got 2 options for the buggy. We got the Red Ant and we have the Orb Weaver. For this fight, I'm going to be using the Orb Weaver strictly because I think the Orb Weaver is going to have a better chance of surviving because it just seems more tanky. And I think I'm not worried about it even doing damage. I just want it to stay alive longer. And I think it's going to be better used for this fight. You could try the Red Soldier Ant, but I personally am going to use the Orb Weaver. And then before I go show you the boss fight, the one thing I want to talk about is what could possibly be the summoning recipe. Now, we have no idea what it could be. There's been no hint of it. However, I did look at I looked at the game and I did some research, like I said, on what do tarantulas consume. And the one thing I found was that tarantulas, like the cockroaches, crickets, and there was something else on there. Crickets are coming later on, so that might get added at some point. But right now, I think that the most likely thing that could be part of the recipe, if they go by like proper like lore and everything or not proper lore, but like what tarantulas actually eat, and this might not be the case, but I would make sure you have a bunch of roach chunks and possibly roach heads. And roach heads are definitely harder to get. They don't drop very often. So I'd definitely be farming roaches to get these just in case that's in the summoning recipe. I think the other part of it will probably end up being either pine needles or thistle needles because they tend to be in the broodmother one had like a thistle needle as part of it. So I think there's a possibility it could be pine needles. After that, I have kind of no idea what it's going to be. I would expect it to be something maybe hard to get. So something like maybe something from the scorpions. So if we do scorpions here, the pincers and the scorpion stingers seem to be drop less frequently. Venom as well. Oh, maybe you get venom pretty frequently. The stingers and the pincers seem to be less frequent drops. Maybe it's going to be wolf spider fangs. I don't know. But basically what I would recommend is make sure you have at least a couple of every single resource so that when we figure out what the summoning recipe is, that you'll just be able to craft it and at least be able to fight the boss once, if not a couple of times. So that's kind of everything for this build. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you where the boss arena is going to be located and what I recommend doing up near the boss arena. All right, so I made my way all the way up here to where the boss arena is going to be located. So we're up here in the Pine Hill region. It's going to be really easy for you to see because it's literally right next to the P in Pine Hill. And what you're going to be looking for is you're going to be looking for the toy soldiers hanging from the branch. So you can actually build up here and climb into the arena if you really want to see what it looks like. But I'm just going to wait for it to open up. I believe it's going to open up right here behind where this little cage is, and that wall leaves is just going to be removed, and there's going to be a way to walk back there. Kind of think of like the broodmother in the hedge where there was just a little stick that led up into the tunnel and you walked into it. I think that's what's going to be the case here. And we're just going to be able to walk right through that wall of leaves. Now, I want to point out that you can see there's no creatures up here to have to fight. There was a mantis here. I did kill it. It's been quite a few days in game and it has not come back. Other people told me that they killed it and never came back. So I don't know if it just doesn't respawn or it respawns somewhere like in the rock or under the ground or something, but I would just recommend killing it at least one time and then you don't have to worry about it. I'd also recommend building a little outpost up here. So I built this nice little house here that has kind of pretty much everything you would need in it. It's just like a little mini outpost here. I got dew collectors on both sides so I have water. I have a refrigerator to keep my food in. We got a workbench in case anything needs to be crafted. A bed so we can make sure we get the full bonuses from that. And then I got a chest that's going to have resources in it for repairing my gear and stuff like that. And anything else I might need possibly for the summoning recipe. If you want to build a full base here, go right ahead. But I think an outpost is probably going to be good enough. And that's, like I said, this is where the boss is going to be. And like I said, I'm going to be using the spicy Coltana against it with the Orb Weaver armor. That's kind of what I think is going to be the best option right now. What I want to know is let me know in the comments down below. Do you think I'm on point on what I think is going to be the best setup? If you have any other setups, let me know in the comments down below because I'm definitely interested in looking to what everybody thinks might be a good setup. Because if mine doesn't work, I'm going to be more than willing to try out others that I hadn't already considered. And also while you're down there, let me know what you think might be in the summoning recipe. Do you think it's going to be roach parts? Do you think it's going to be something else? Anyway, while you're down there, make sure to hit the like button and consider subscribing for more content just like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.